So I shouldn't have been there.
Escambia County Redevelopment Agency, January 9th, 2025, 9 o'clock a.m. Call to order. Please turn your cell phone to vibrate silence or the off setting. Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 2 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman. Is there proof of publication?
The CRA meeting was published in the Escambia County Sun Press on January 3rd, 2025.
Thank you. Are there any speakers for public forum?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Technical and public service?
Excuse me, I have one for your approval, recommendation concerning Community Redevelopment Agency meeting minutes, December 12th, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I move the technical public service consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. Please vote. Passes unanimous. Thank you so much. Budget and finance?
We have three for your approval. First one is recommendation concerning residential improvement grant program funding and lien agreements. Second one is recommendation concerning residential roof program funding and lien agreements. And the third one is recommendation concerning the cancellation of residential rehab grant program liens.
Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved, all three.
Thank you. Jacob, please vote. Passes unanimous. Thank you so much. Anything? No,
No discussions.
no discussion items. If there are no discussion items, we will adjourn this meeting and turn it over to the chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner May. We'll go ahead and move into morning agenda review, if that's okay with everyone. I think we can go through this pretty quickly. It's a short agenda tonight. My goal is to get out before tomorrow tonight, so we'll see. Well, if it is, you're taking us to Waffle House. All right. Commissioner May, you got an invocation tonight?
Yes, sir. Pastor Fred Young, who's over the MLK commemoration, pastor of Mount Canaan Baptist Church, will be here.
Okay.
Correct?
Commissioner Hoffberger, do you mind doing the pledge tonight?
I would be honored to.
Okay, thank you. Proclamations. Jose, do we have who's doing which ones? Who's doing Mr. Riley's retirement? Oh, Tim, okay. All right. I talked about Warrenton Volunteer Fire Department. Okay, all right. So those are resolved. All right, any discussion on the public hearings tonight? We have we have three different ones that came up. Is there any issues with those? All right, we can move on. Clerk, anything that we need to know about the report? Okay, thank you. GMR last time, Horace, was kind of fun. Is tonight going to be as fun?
Then we have the adoption of the 545. We have a small-scale map amendment, that's 546, to review and adopt. We have a transmittal hearing for DSAP to review and transmit, first of two public hearings. That's number 4. Item number 5, same, first of two public hearings. Then we have an approval of DSAP change. Then we have the final plat for Grove at Bella Terra. And we do have our consent agenda as well for January 26th, and with a possibility of some changes on the consent agenda for February the 6th, but we'll know more as the day proceeds.
Okay, thank you, Horace. Any questions? Okay. Moving on to, since we got through GMR, let's go through county administration report.
Mr. Chairman, there's 7 items on the technical public service consent agenda. If there's anyone that'd like to hold an item, we can hold it to discuss this morning.
Anything that needs pulled or we're going to have to discuss tonight from any of the commissioners? Okay.
All right, there are 27 items on the budget finance consent agenda, and if there's anything we'd like to discuss this morning, we can do that.
Hopefully everyone's reviewed that. I didn't have anything. I think they're pretty cut. I do have one on the sheriff's memorial. When it was revised, did you see that it needs to be changed? Commissioner Hoffberger, what was the intent that you wanted to give? Because it was changed when it was updated how much did you want to give to the sheriff's memorial?
I think we did 500.
Okay, all right. So then that's the same.
Car 3 is just a discussion of OLF 8.
If the board's okay tonight, what I would like to do is after the clerk's report is to move Olaf 8 up. Is everyone okay with that? And I know last meeting we had close to 70 speakers. If we get that many, I'll probably go down to 2 minutes because that's what extended it. But obviously I want to get the public the opportunity to speak. My intent on the Olaf 8 tonight is to have the speaker speak, and then each one of the bidders is 10 minutes, okay? Is everyone okay with that? 10 minutes sound good? I think we gave them 15 minutes last time, didn't we? 10? It was? Okay. I think 10's okay, if everyone on the board agrees. Okay, so that's how we'll deal with that tonight. And then, okay, so then we'll go after that in the consent agenda and finish up the rest of the meeting.
What's the protocol, Mr. Chairman? Tonight, you said you're going, after the clerk's report, you're going to go.
After the clerk's report, before we go into the consent agenda, we'll bring up the Olaf 8 discussion.
The only thing I would just say, because the growth management is time sensitive, you may want to catch growth management.
Oh, we can do that. Okay, do that and then do that Olaf 8?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
that's
because
fine.
they've been
No
advertised
problem.
at certain times.
Yep, you're right. Good catch. All right, I have no issue with that. All right, we're at the clerk's report? I mean I'm sorry,
Growth management.
growth management, yeah. We're done with CAR. Do you have anything for legal tonight you want to bring up?
No, I mean, there are 2 items on the county attorney's report that I can certainly answer any questions about. I did get a little bit of feedback from one of the commissioners on the technology policy. I can certainly take any more input from anyone else.
Is it something we're going to discuss? Who brought it up?
Commissioner Hoffberger has indicated some interest in further loosening up language regarding social media posts that have to do with county business. If that's the board's intent, I can certainly make some edits. We could do that during the day today if you wish, or we can bring that back at the next meeting in January. Totally up to the board.
I'd like to discuss it this morning if we can. Commissioner Hopberger, can you share with us what you would like?
Yes, so under the bottom of the second page, maintaining personal social media accounts that shall not post any comment relating to county business. I just want to make sure that we can still reply to things, and that if we want to, P&J puts something out there, we want to share it and give our opinion, we should be able to do that on our personal page, especially as it relates to the county. I don't think we should be able to put out confidential information or information that's not readily available, but I do believe that we should be able to give our opinion on information and communicate with the public via Facebook or other social media platforms.
I don't have an issue with that. I think the policy is something we're just bringing back from what was there before. This policy was in effect, Allison, for how long?
From 2009 to 2019, the county commission did govern itself, or did have at least in place a policy that was specific to the board about use of technology. In May of 2019, it was repealed in its entirety. The board itself has not had a policy in place since May of 2019. We did make some tweaks in December based on some feedback that we'd gotten from a couple of you all. And these are certainly easy enough changes. This is, other than the existing Florida law, it's totally up to the board's discretion the extent to which it wants to have a policy. We can certainly make edits based on the feedback from District 4 during the day today. That's easy enough, and we can bring it to you all tonight and you could vote on it. Or if you all want to think on it and discuss it some more, that's fine as well.
There's,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
sorry, there's also the segment about being discouraged from using text messaging. I feel like when this was rolled out in 2009, we didn't text as much as we do. And with the ease of communication, I'm not sure that that's still valid. And I get it's a public records nightmare, but we also want to move businesses forward as quickly as possible.
So you're saying you're for or against that? I'm not sure what you're.
I think it needs some revamping, that we're discouraged from using text messages to conduct county business probably isn't the best way to be efficient.
You have a comment, Madam Attorney?
It seems like that at least for a few of you, you've got two different things going on. One is the world of courtesy and etiquette, and the other one is the public records challenges that this poses. I mean, we can try to further define, that during board meetings and during workshops, the board is encouraged, to stay off of electronic devices and engage with the speakers. And for purposes of public records, if you're doing things on your devices, you're responsible for their retention. Is that maybe hitting the mark on what you guys are after?
I don't want to be phone police, I can tell you that. But I do think policies are there for a reason. I've been in so many different things in my life where you had to check your phone in, even to go into the tank, into a boardroom to vote for people for their promotions. It's there for the protection, so there's not influence. That's why it's there. But I'm not going to say, I'm not going to go up here and say, ask you if you're on your phone, please get off. That's not what I'm going to do. I think it's just having a principle that we know that we have a guiding principles on how we should conduct ourselves.
Mike, I like what you're saying. It's just a guiding principle. I mean,
Yeah.
a lock is for an honest person. I mean, we were in a meeting to 12:30 last meeting. In 2025, no one's going to be detached from their phone.
Yeah.
But small children, those type of things. For 8-9 hours. I'm a small business owner. I run a lot of stuff. I'm not going to be detached from my phone, and I'm not going to violate any laws, any rules. And if I do, then I'll be held accountable. I mean, but to say in 2025, that'd be like telling the entire staff. I mean, what's good for us is good for them. We're going to say everybody turn off their phones, no staff, no communications. That would be challenging for me. And I think in 2025, that could be a little bit of an overreach in telling someone that they can't use their phone.
I think,
But I mean, the spirit of the policy to me makes sense, but of the entire thing that we presented, other than someone being able to utilize their phone.
I get that, and I understand if your wife or your kid or your grandmother is sick and you need to have comms, that's obvious. I can't imagine an organization in 2025 not having a social media policy. I mean, everywhere I go, I mean, I know that we had one, and it's there just to set ground rules. And so I have, however you want to tweak it, that it's reasonable, I'm fine with that.
I mean, we get news on social media before we would get it reported by the news media. I had a car accident in my
You're not
district.
opposed to having no guiding principle policy?
I don't have a problem with guiding principles, but I certainly don't want to be prohibited from having access, to the world for 8 hours.
And that's my concern. I would second that. I want to make sure that we're able to communicate with the community without restrictions.
Absolutely. And I agree with Ashley.
Okay, if Allison, can you work within those boundaries?
Sure. Would you like to see it back this evening with some changes?
It doesn't seem like there needs to be that much tweaking, does it?
I
Can we
wouldn't
get
think so.
Can we move on from that tonight?
Sure, I can distribute it during the day, and we can update the backup before the meeting tonight, if
Okay,
that's...
thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, I know we didn't have a CAL today, and I'd like to talk about the CAL, how we're going to go forward with it. Here's my suggestion, that we have, and this is just starting point, right? That we have 10 CALs a year, we don't have one in July and December, and that each commissioner brings up what they want. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you want, whatever you want to talk stormwater, if you want to talk, or whatever the topic is, if a commissioner doesn't have a topic, then it would come back to whoever the chair is or the board to bring up an idea for that topic. Oh yeah, I want to do them in the morning. Does everyone, you have a comment on that? Is that okay? You okay with, I mean,
I'd like to
I'm
do
not,
it
that's
following.
just something I came up with. I'm not saying that, but it was just a starting point. I know we all have different issues about it. I've had a lot of positive feedback about it. You know, and I also think some of the stuff that if we get to where we don't have a topic that we want to talk about, we have all these committees, man, that can give us some information, oversight, you know, and, yep. Yeah, so, any comment, or is that a good plan to move forward? So if that's, I guess, Commissioner, if we just do it by numbers, Commissioner Stroberg, you would have the first topic in February. If you don't have one, I got about 10. But, but were you willing to take that on? I appreciate that. Okay. Is there anything to add to the agenda tonight? I guess I forgot to do that. Commissioner Berry? No? Commissioner May?
So we're just bringing the technology policy back tonight, or is it coming back at a future
I'm
meeting?
okay if Allison can manage it. Okay. You don't have anything to add? Okay.
No, nothing to
Commissioner Stroberger?
All good?
Okay. I have one question. Did the Beulah Center Group give a modified contract? I got the contract from Tri-West. Do we have anything to update on that for tonight? Because I'd like to review it before the meeting if we have anything. Is the answer no?
I have not yet received anything from that group, but I would expect that we probably would get something today in writing from them. I don't want to get out ahead of them.
Sir, if you have some information, I mean, it's going to be, for me, I think we're going to have a pretty good discussion about this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will Dunaway, I represent the Beulah Town Center. The principals are meeting at 11 o'clock. They wanted to have the benefit of this meeting to then have a discussion, and we do expect that there'll be a decision made at that time.
Well, the clock's ticking.
Thank you, sir.
I hope everyone had a chance to read the contract that came in yesterday from Tri-West. There was some significant modifications in there, so I guess we can talk about
And Mike, that's why, I mean, to me, I mean, we have a few moments. I mean, because I'm not willing to stay here like I did last Thursday. I mean, at some point, we need to call a vote. I'm not going to be here in perpetuity for something we've done for 12 years. Just to make sure we're managing expectations. And so, like me, I've been very clear.
I moved it up for you so you could get to bed early tonight, Commissioner Mann.
Oh, I'm not going to bed early. I'm just not going to stay here. But the reality of it is, you know, the expectations of the five of us to get along. I mean, they just said, well, this group is meeting at 11. Well, people will have it that we're not making the decision, where they're not making decisions as well. I mean, because they don't have a for sure answer today. And so for me, it's what the intended purpose of this deal was to create high wage paying jobs. And the other thing for me is that we get the best ROI like any other investor who put their money down. And so I think if those messages can be conveyed in a public forum, people know exactly what their points are, because they may be hitting points that are not important to either of us. And, you know, so to me, those are my 2 points. I mean, you know, highest dollar and job creation. Other than that, I mean, I don't know what else other than the DBZ plan that they have to follow, but I certainly would hope that we can convey that in a public forum this morning, so we don't have to have our citizens or our staff or us have to be here. You know, I mean, we beat the horse. I mean, everybody knows, I mean, where we are. So that's where I am, and I'm certainly going to pay respect to my colleague to the right and to the new colleague who represents that district and to where they come from. So that's where I am. I have 2 points. There's 2 talking points that I've had since the beginning of this.
No, I respect that, Commissioner May, and I will tell you this, I agree with you. I think the decision space for the last month, I know we all been lobbied hard, at least I'm sure you all have as well as I have by these folks. And I set my parameters the same. So those 2 that you had, jobs, price, I had a little bit more interest in the interest money, the down payment, because I think the county shouldn't be on the hook forever like we have. And so those are some of the factors. And then, you know, the timeline is kind of important to me as well. I think that's something that we can't just, you know, and of course, we're just going to let these folks try to fine tune the contract. I mean, we know that. But I think for me, we got 2 really good bidders. and it's a good situation for us to be in. I went back, I know I kind of have a boring life, but I went back and watched DCTV4 and listened to what all of us said on the board that night, not once, but twice, just so I could see where we were. I thought it was a hearty discussion, and I hope tonight we can move forward. I really do. So I don't know if anyone else has any other comments about it, but I agree with what you said.
Allison, last time you broke down the contracts and put them in a matrix. Could you do that this time, but also leave a column for notes so we can take notes on job expectations and the growth and anything to do with the DPZ plan?
I was planning to do that, but I was kind of waiting to see if I was getting an updated from one of the parties. We can certainly distribute that during the day today. And my plea to you all is just, these are proposals that are one-sided that are coming in. My only ask of you is please don't just accept any of those as they are, because they each contain certain provisions that are either problematic or illegal or are not in your favor. So we would want the opportunity to try to negotiate some of that language subsequent to your vote.
If it's illegal or problematic, will you identify that tonight, Allison?
We've tried to note some of those things previously, like the county can't pay, in my opinion, we're not supposed to pay dock stamps. That has remained. Some of those are small things, but there are bigger things too, like from a policy perspective, are you really wanting to do a development agreement for the long-term planning of the site? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I mean, there are just a lot of details that I just don't want you to accept holistically what's been proposed. They are the one-sided proposals.
All right. No, I appreciate it. And Allison, because you and I have really not talked since last year, does it benefit you to get outside counsel that does development of this scale in terms of legal help or consulting help to negotiate these deals, or you feel comfortable enough that you can negotiate this deal?
I mean, I think we can cover it, but the board certainly can do as it wishes.
Well, of course, but I'm just asking you, do you need help, or you
At this
think you got
point,
it?
I don't see anything contentious enough that we would need that, but if the board prefers that, they certainly can do that.
You know, Commissioner May, it's funny you asked that, because I had that down the back of my mind too, and I don't think if we can't get there tonight, we probably need to come up with a way-ahead plan, get outside counsel, get mediation, something. I don't know what the right answer is, but I do think that should be, I hope we get somewhere tonight, but if not, I think we should consider some of those options.
And there are certainly professions other than lawyers that, can deal with these sorts of things.
I have one other thing.
Someone that's laser focused on this, I mean, because this has been something, and obviously it's no disrespect to your office, Allison, it's just that someone has a laser focus and take this across the finish line. And I think at some point we got to get this out of politics and get this into practicality of implementing a deal, a development deal that's going to work, and get it out of politics. So that's my goal tonight.
Well, I mean, ideally, the vote tonight would be to ask that, to enter into negotiating the contract. And if if it becomes apparent that we're unsuccessful in getting there, then, the board can then have that discussion. I mean, best case scenario, we're still weeks or months away from a contract coming back to the board, but, we can, if we enter into the conversation and that doesn't seem to be going especially well, which is always possible, then that's a discussion I think the board could take up, in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and say, look, right now we're not getting there. Maybe we do need some help at that time.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned something that triggered my brain. I was going to ask. If we do get there tonight, I would like to set a timeline to fine-tune the contract, like 60 days. Do you think that's unreasonable?
No, that's
Because I'd like
well.
to. Or I
it's-
just am throwing it out as a.
It's been unreasonable previously, but I'm always optimistic. That's why we show up every day here. So it's the previous attempts we've not been able to get there in 6 months, but with a good partner and there has already been quite a bit of back and forth about some terms and things that we can't accept. So hopefully, hopefully 60 days is reasonable, 60 days, 90 days. But, I think within 30 days, we'll have a really good idea as to whether we're going to be able to bring a product back. I think that's reasonable,
I think so too. And for me, I think we got 2 good bids, and if we can't get there with one, I would like to move forward with the second, whoever it is. The other thing, I don't know how it's going to go down tonight, but this is a big deal for the county. and I think it's a big deal for everyone on the board. We'll see where we end up, but hopefully it'll go in a way that the board looks united either way.
Mr. Chairman, that's my goal, for us to have a united board and a united front. And I agree with you. Yeah, obviously, we need to pick someone, and I'm willing to pick someone probably like this morning, candidly. So I can make that vote, but certainly I don't want to alienate anyone, because as you just said, if the deal doesn't work with the first group, I don't want to make the second group so angry that they're not coming to the table to do the deal, because once the negotiation starts, we don't know what's going to happen.
Sure.
I mean, all type of things happen when lawyers get involved, and so that's, the deal may work and it may not, but I just don't want to alienate, either group at all. I want to know that we had a fair process and we respect whoever. I mean, is it down to 2 or is it still 3?
I was going to ask, did Ryan Bell come back with anything?
I have not heard from Mr. Bell, and I have no communications from him since the last board meeting. I
But he
don't
hadn't
know-
withdrawn his application.
I don't know if maybe the administrator has heard from Mr. Bell?
Okay, so it looks like we have 2, and
Well, he
they're-
did call me, and he said that I think he's got an adjustment to his offer, too.
okay, well,
He had not withdrawn.
No, he
I
hasn't.
can confirm that he's not withdrawn.
okay. He's the only one I haven't talked to since the last meeting, so I didn't know. So if some of you have, you know more than I would.
Well, he hadn't been lobbying. He said he's just going to let his speak for itself.
Okay, all right. Well, Madam Attorney, I think what you're hearing from the board is we want a shortest timeline to try to get something so that however it goes, we don't alienate the other party if we can't get there.
So if Madam Council is doing an analysis, I think it'll be an analysis of 3 and not 2 to bring us
Yep.
back the metrics.
Yes,
If
I
that's the
agree.
request of Commissioner Holberger.
All right,
Yes, correct. Thank you.
all right. Unless there's anything else, is there anything we need to cover before we meet for public forum at 4:30? All right, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.